I'll tell you what, I'll try to be there. Well, I'll have to call you back. Yes, I promise. Good night. Ralph Eubank has to have an operation. He wants me there if there are any slip-ups.
Well, I think you should go. If it'll put the poor man's mind at ease.
Oh, Father Collins will be there. Anyway, he's just having his tonsils out.
Well, I've heard it said that after a certain age, any operation involves a risk.
Well, that may be true, but is that certain age 42?
I don't know. Is Ralph Eubank only 42? He looks much older.
Yes, that's what happens when your hobby is worrying. You know, he's been to St. Anthony's 3 times to have his tonsils out, and he's yet to make it to the operating room.
Changes his mind at the last minute and goes home, eh?
Twice dressed only in his undershorts. Would you want your chair, Father?
No, not yet. You'll read it in the telephone. Our good Mrs. Featherstone suddenly remembers Mrs. Dennis Brady Jr. called you during supper and wants to be called back.
Oh.
Mrs. Dennis Brady Jr.? Well, that's little Elaine Halloran, isn't it?
Yes, the former little Elaine Halloran. I married him several years ago.
I still picture her waving pom-poms at the high school football game. Full of that wonderful energy she has. Dennis Brady, was he a back or an end? An end. Well, both from fine families. A good marriage. A good, solid marriage.
Hello? Elaine, this is Father O'Malley. I see. Well, what time tomorrow does Denny get off work? And why don't you both cover the rectory at 5:30? Yes, fine, thank you. I'll see you tomorrow.
Some little problem they want your advice on?
Some big problem they want my advice on. Their good, solid marriage is about to go in the rocks.
Mrs. Dennis Brady Jr. to see you.
Just Mrs., not Mr., too?
Just Mrs.?
Ask her to come out, please.
Mrs. Brady, Father will see you in the garden.
Hello, Elaine.
Father?
Would you sooner talk inside?
Wherever you say.
Well, let's get the fresh air then, huh? I thought Dennis was going to be with you.
Well, I thought so, too, until it was time to leave, but he's decided our problem is private, and he's not going to discuss it with anyone. Father, do you mind if we talk about something else first? I'm sort of nervous.
Oh, of course not. How are your parents?
We got a letter today.
How do they like Tucson?
It's fine. Marjorie's asthma is so much better, she's trying out for Pom-Pom Girl.
That's great, but it'll take her a long time before she can wave a pom-pom like her sister could.
I see why Denny didn't want to come. It's embarrassing for me to talk about, too.
Would it be easier if I asked questions?
No, Father, I can say it in one sentence.
Well, then, take a deep breath and let's go.
Denny and I have wanted so badly to have a baby, and we just haven't been able to have one. There.
Well, that wasn't so terrible, was it? You must want a child very much.
Yes, Father, I do. So does Denny. I guess because we both come from large families.
How many are you hoping for?
At least 5. Oh, Father O'Malley, if they don't stop, I think I'll go out of my mind.
They? Who are they?
Everybody. Friends, relatives, butchers, mailmen, they all keep pressuring us about when are we going to have that baby.
Is it pressure or is it just good-natured teasing?
When my mother used to write, she'd ask. Now she avoids mentioning it, which is worse. Father, it's terrible. The more months that go by, the more frustrating it gets. Last week, we started taking it out on each other.
Have you thought of checking with a doctor?
Well, I have, but Denny absolutely refuses. The same reason he refuses to come to talk to you. Elaine, it's private.
Sounds like you're mad at him.
Sure am. Oh, he's just making up excuses. Real reason is he's afraid it's his fault. And, Father, I told him so.
How did he react?
He threw a shoe at me.
Mrs. Brady, I think maybe Dennis and I should have a little talk. When you get home, would you tell him as a personal favor I'd like him to call me?
Thank you, Father. I will.
Goodbye, Elaine.
Bye-bye.
Oh, did he hit you?
Missed me a mile.
O'Malley, you're wanted on the telephone. It's Mr. Eubank.
Huh? Don't tell me. His tonsils have miraculously regained their health and the operation is off again.
How did you guess? Oh, off for a game of rolling the ball?
Yes, we're going bowling over the center. I told Tom Caldwell I'd see him over there. Oh, hello, Elaine. This is Father O'Malley. I've been waiting for Denny to call me for 2 days. Was he there now? Oh. Did he happen to say where? I see. Fine. No, thank you. Now, I'll speak to you soon. Goodbye. Well, good night, Father. I'll see you in the morning.
You know, I used to do a little bowling myself back in Ireland, on the lawns.
Oh, were you good?
Oh, modesty forbids me to say.
Yes. Well, you have to join us sometime.
Oh, and leave the rectory unattended?
Well, the Redemptorist fathers will be here to give that mission next week. We could go then.
Well, maybe it'll do me good to get out and see what the young folks are doing nowadays.
Fine. You could give us a few pointers.
I wouldn't presume so. I haven't played the game in 50 years. Well, good night, Father. Have a nice time now.
Thank you.
And don't forget, my boy, it's all in the footwork.
You know, Mr. Spare in the 10th frame.
The Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away.
Jock, don't try to pass the buck. All night you've been looking around pretending your mind isn't on the game. What are you trying to do, throw me or something?
No, but I must admit I have an ulterior motive.
Well, I don't care what it is. It's not going to work. Now, if I pick up the spare, I win. I beat you, period.
I knew my game was off, but I didn't know it was that bad.
Well, just step aside and watch the wooden Indians bite the dust. It's not fair for you fellas to put on the whammy, is it?
Go ahead, Bull. Excuse me a minute, Tom. I see my ulterior motive. Hi, fellas.
Father O'Malley.
Hi, Father.
What are you doing here?
Ready for a surprise answer? I'm bowling. Hello, Dennis.
Sorry I didn't call you, Father. I've been real busy.
Yeah, didn't have a free second the last 2 days, huh? How's the family, Bob?
Couldn't be better, Father. Amy's due again in 2 months.
Some of us have it and some of us don't.
Some of us have what?
The good luck to have children, Father.
Yeah. You fellas start your game, let Dennis go last.
I suppose my darling wife told you where to find me.
Right. When I phoned you home to see why you were ducking me.
I haven't been ducking you exactly, Father. I just,
Just what?
Look, Father, the way I see it, this thing is strictly between me and Elaine.
And the way you see it is strictly wrong. This thing is between you and Elaine and a good doctor.
Yeah, I knew you'd say that. She just begged you to get me to see a doctor, didn't she?
No. Brought the subject up myself. Isn't a doctor the logical next step?
What's so logical about it?
Oh, Dennis, come on. If there's anything physically wrong with either one of you, a good doctor might help.
Well, what if he can't? What if he finds there's nothing wrong with me? Anyway, we might be spending money for nothing.
You'd be spending money for information. Father pay you a good salary?
Yes, yeah. I earn every penny of it.
Good. Well,
Oh, boy, you're backing me right up against the wall, aren't you?
why do you say that?
Because you... All right, you win. 2 against 1, we'll see a doctor.
Spoken like a true martyr.
What's the matter, Father? Aren't you satisfied?
Well, the decision, yes. With the spirit behind it, no.
Well, I'm sorry. That's the best I can do. Look, Father, why don't you understand? This is very painful for me.
I do understand. And Dennis, I also understand it's the only way to clear up the mystery that worries a young married couple that I'm very fond of.
If I've been rude to you, Father, I'm sorry. I apologize. Okay?
Okay. Oh, by the way, Dr. Roger Webb at St. Anthony's is a specialist in this field. Sorry to keep you waiting, fellas. Have a good game. See you, Father. See you, Father.
Oh, I am deeply disappointed in you, Chuck. I didn't think that you would stoop to anything just to preserve a victory.
Well, now you know.
You may think that this delay has caused me to lose my touch. However, your stroke of gamesmanship is doomed to failure. I shall now proceed to bowl either a strike or a spare.
This I gotta say. Tough luck, pal. Can't win 'em all.
Come in.
Oh, I didn't know you were busy, Father. Mrs. Featherston said you wanted to see me.
Come in, Father. You know Mr. Brady, Dennis's father.
How do you do?
How do you do, Father? We were just discussing Dennis and his wife, Elaine. Mr. Brady is a little disturbed by your helping them.
Disturbed about your interference, Father.
Mr. Brady feels that you were overstepping yourself when you suggested the young couple consult a doctor.
I think you ought to stick to the theology. This is way out of your field.
How do you feel, Father?
Well, I was just telling him that you were a priest and that you did your duty as you saw it. I was about to tell him that charity is always our field and that I back you up 200%.
Now, look, Father, it's fine to preach to us at Mass, but when priests interfere in a delicate matter like this, they're way out of line.
Mr. Brady, you're an electrical contractor, are you not?
I am.
Now, we don't tell you how to wire lamps. We'd greatly appreciate it if you didn't tell us how to run a parish.
Is that all you've got to say?
That's all I care to say. Unless you have something further to say about where our duty starts and stops, then I have a great deal to say to you, my good man.
I have nothing to say for now.
Father, will you see Mr. Brady to the door?
I can find my own way.
Thanks for that 200% vote of confidence.
Not at all, my boy. The trick is to be firm with them. Not get them so angry that they lose their tempers.
Mr. Eubank, you're a grown man.
I don't care. I want you to hold my hand anyhow.
Mr. Eubank, calm down.
Father, You believe in astrology?
Who, me?
I don't either. I mean, not really. Except this morning, I just happened to read my horoscope for the day. Do you know what it said?
What?
Economic security is more attainable than you think.
What's that got to do with having your tonsils taken out?
Nothing. That's my point. That's too crowded. Let's wait for the next car.
Dr. Webb, don't you want to say hello?
Father O'Malley, I didn't see you.
Go ahead. They want to talk.
As a matter of fact, I do.
Back to the ward.
I'll meet you upstairs, Mr. Eubank.
Don't you know your surgeon is waiting? This is a hospital. We don't have time to cater to the whims of adults.
Even the orderlies are talking like him. Father, I don't usually discuss my patients, but I think you have a stake in this.
You mean the young Bradys?
Yes. I've examined them both.
Well, I usually don't discuss my parishioners, but go ahead.
There's no chance of their having a child.
Oh.
Yes. It's a shame. It's the girl.
It is, huh? Is her condition curable?
No,
Not even by surgery?
not even by surgery. It in no way affects her general health. She simply can't have a baby. Now, Father, I can get clinical if you want me to, but it'll all boil down to the same thing. Elaine Brady will never have a child.
How'd they take it?
Poorly.
Figures. Well, I'll speak to them.
Good. You mind if I make a suggestion?
Oh, shoot.
Concentrate on the husband,
Why?
because his reaction was much worse than hers. All she did was cry.
And what did Dennis do?
Dennis practically gloated. He said he knew all along it wasn't his fault. Now, in a situation like this, relief is a natural reaction, especially on the part of the male. So I didn't say anything. I just sat there and waited
For what?
for him to stop thinking about himself, comfort his wife, you know, put his arm around her, hold her hand, anything to indicate a little love or compassion. But nothing happened. No reaction. So I just sat there and waited until my nurse announced my next patient.
I'm sorry.
Father, I've had to break this news to couples before, and I can tell you by experience that if this marriage is to survive, someone had better act soon and act fast.
Father O'Malley, is that you?
Yes, Father.
I have grand news.
Oh?
The missionary fathers will be arriving this Saturday.
Well, that's fine. They're both great speakers. We should have a big turnout.
You know what this means, don't you?
What?
It means that you and I and young Tom Caldwell can all go bowling.
Well, that's right, we can.
Call him up right away.
Sure.
Tell him Friday evening will be fine. Oops, here, this came for you while you were out.
Oh, no. It's a day letter from Tucson, Arizona.
Whom do you know there?
Elaine Brady's father, mother, and sister. Says, got long letter from Elaine. We are shocked and worried about news. Please make her see specialist. Please represent us in our absence. Appreciate all you are doing. Let us know if we should come east. Your faithful expirationers, Mr. and Mrs. Charles W. Halloran.
Appreciate all you're doing.
We should send a copy of that to Dennis Brady Sr., huh?
Oh, you needn't bother. I told that gentleman off good and proper.
Father, it's a challenging profession we have, isn't it? To clean up an old saying, we're darned if we do and darned if we don't.
What are your plans?
My plans are to recommend that Elaine and Denny adopt. I talked to the sister at the adoption service, and she says they're sure to qualify. I have an application. I thought I'd drop in on Elaine and Dennis and talk it over.
Now, aren't you moving a trifle fast?
I hope so, Father. I certainly hope so. Oh, and I'll also drop in on Tom Caldwell on the way home and make that bowling date for Friday night.
Thanks anyway, Father. But we're not going to adopt a baby
Why not?
because I don't want to.
Well, just suppose I do.
That's too bad.
Look, God has given couples two ways to have children. Maybe this is his way of giving you a child. A child somewhere who needs care and love and... Well, all right, you don't have to decide right away. Put this away someplace and think it over.
Thank you, Father.
There's nothing to think about, Father. The answer is still no.
Danny, your answer may be no, but my answer is yes.
All right. You can adopt a baby by yourself.
You want children? Well, what is it, Denny? Do you think Dr. Webb made a mistake?
Maybe.
Do you want to consult someone else?
You mean, do I want my wife to consult someone else?
Well, do you?
That's up to her.
Well, Father, Denny knows Dr. Webb didn't make a mistake. He just wishes it. About 1/10 as much as I do.
She was hoping it would be my fault.
You're not going, are you?
Yes, I am. I'm in the way. You both turn to me as if I'm the official referee, when you should be turning to each other. Why don't you take a crack at talking this thing through alone? If you want me afterwards, you know where to reach me. Oh, by the way, have you heard the news?
What news?
The Dennis Brady Juniors are an adult married couple, and they love each other.
I'd say that was a hint, wouldn't you?
To me or to you?
I guess to both of us. Oh, Denny, what's the matter with you?
What's the matter with me is what's the matter with you.
Now, that statement was nasty and immature. Now, keep in mind what Father O'Malley just said and ignore it.
Oh, Father O'Malley, Father O'Malley. Will you stop with the Father O'Malley? Who asked him to butt in?
I'm glad he butted in.
You're serious. You want to adopt a baby.
That's correct.
Why?
Because it's the only way we can have one. Now, why do you want not to?
Because it would be someone else's.
Not if we got it when it was little and we were the only mother and father it ever knew.
In other words, we could make believe it was ours.
But it would be our baby. We'd have the legal papers to prove it.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Like owning a new car. And what do we do if we don't like it? Trade it in on a new model?
Denny, I'm sorry. I want to have a baby. I want to have your baby, but I can't. Why don't you put your arms around me?
I'm not in the mood.
Danny, now you're sulking. You're taking it all out on me. Can't you see how badly I feel already?
All right. I'm a real monster. What do you want from me? You want me to... Am I supposed to dance in the streets?
No, you're supposed to grow up and act like a man.
How can I act like a man? Am I married to a woman? I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say that.
Hello, Mr. Eubank. This is Father O'Malley. I've been wondering how you're getting along without your tonsils. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Well, why haven't you been able to sleep? Oh, Mr. Eubank, you were under anesthesia. You never even saw the operating room. How can you constantly relive its terror? Well, I find that hard to believe. If the anesthetic had worn off in the middle, the pain would have been unbearable. Oh. Oh, it was, but you kept quiet because you don't want people to think you're a hypochondriac. Well, I'll buy that. Yes, yes. Uh-huh. Now, you just keep being brave and hold on, huh? I know, you're welcome. Goodbye. Aren't they something, huh?
Just a ticket for bowling, wouldn't you say?
Yes, yes.
I found them in the back of my closet. I last had them on in 1945 when I organized an armed forces basketball game for the USO.
Well, when did you buy them originally?
Oh, I don't remember now. Around 1938, I think it was.
Oh, terrific. They just don't make things like they used to.
Oh, no. Nowadays, they skimp. I'll bet there are 5 pounds of rubber in those.
At least. We'll get it, Mrs. Featherston. Elaine.
Father, I just had to talk to someone. Denny's left me.
When?
Just now. He said he's moving back with his parents. Oh, Father, I just want to die.
Take her into the kitchen and have Mrs. Patterson give her a nice cup of tea.
Yes, Father.
Father Madigan says for you to enjoy yourself. And he'll be down to sit on the phones just as soon as he finishes his letter to St. Louis.
All right, thank you.
Father, I forgot to ask, while the 2 priests are here for the mission, shall I cook regular, or are we out to make a splash?
Oh, cook regular. With 1 or 2 extras. What out to make a ripple. Where's Father O'Malley?
He's talking on the extension upstairs.
Well, that must be Tom Colwyn.
Well, are you all set, Father?
I'm ready to go.
You be careful now, Father. When you went golfing, you had a bad back for weeks.
I'm a grown man. Let me worry about my own back.
Yes, Father.
Hi.
Hey, Jack.
You can't bowl in that.
I'm afraid I have to beg off. Something's come up.
What?
What? Well, I've been trying to arrange a meeting with Dennis Brady and his parents, and the father just phoned and told me he's to leave town tomorrow for a convention. So the meeting has to be tonight.
Well, in that case, why don't we just postpone it?
We'll do no such thing. I've been looking forward to this evening. I must get in some practice before I take on Father O'Malley.
That's right, Father. You go on along. You deserve a night off.
You all set, Tom?
Raring to go. Say, those are beauties, Father. I have a pair just like them.
Then why aren't you wearing them?
I saved them for duck hunting.
Hey, Denny.
Yo.
You won't believe this, but look. Father Fitzgibbon.
What am I doing wrong?
Well, I'm no expert, Father, but I think you might do better if you threw the ball a little harder, you know. Let me show you.
Nice try, Father.
What's he doing here?
Who, Father?
I'll be back in a minute. And don't forget, I get a second chance.
I was only kidding, Father.
You speak when you're spoken to, young man. I thought you had a meeting with Father O'Malley.
My dad told me not to be there. He said that he preferred talking to Father O'Malley alone.
Oh, he did now. It's your future, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess so. But,
Then why are you hiding?
I'm not hiding. I just...
He's just bowling. I was only kidding,
Be
Father.
still. At your age. Not standing up for yourself. And putting Father O'Malley to all that trouble, and you not even showing up for the meeting. Young man, this gives me a very low estimate of your character. And I'm not so thrilled with yours either. Excuse me, my back. Oh.
Oh, good evening, Father.
Good evening.
This way, please.
Well, hello, Father. Glad you could make it.
Thank you.
Living room's so big you have to shout to be heard. We'll be better off in here. My wife calls this the library. I guess she thinks that's classier than den. What do you have to drink, scotch or bourbon?
Nothing, thanks.
Well, shall we sit down and get to it, Father?
Well, aren't we waiting for Dennis and your wife?
No. I made them both go out.
Why?
Well, Denny's too, what do you call it, emotionally involved. And my wife can't stand to argue. That's the secret of my happy marriage.
Yes, but well, I told you on the phone I would have liked to have them here.
I know you did, Father, but I didn't say I agreed with you. Please have a seat. You're the guest. You go first.
Thank you. Well, Mr. Brady, I'd like you to use whatever influence you have to get Dennis to go back with Elaine.
We're in trouble right off the bat. I'd like you to use whatever influence you have to get Denny an annulment.
An annulment? Well, on what grounds?
I've been thinking it over. 50-1, that girl knew she couldn't have kids before she got married. She didn't say anything because she was afraid Denny might back out.
In other words, she tricked him into marrying her.
Right? Why else do you think her folks packed up and went to Arizona? So they wouldn't have to answer any questions.
The younger daughter has asthma.
Maybe. I think it was an excuse.
Do you think a girl like Elaine would do a thing like that?
Father, most girls would do anything to get married. You don't know the half of it.
And, what does Dennis think of your theory?
Danny, he's still wet behind the ears. He doesn't know you always got to look under the surface.
Tell me, Mr. Brady, is it just Elaine, or do you think the worst of everybody?
Let's just say I'm cautious. It pays off, Father. I've got the bank account to prove it.
But Elaine isn't a business competitor. She's your daughter-in-law.
And Denny is my son.
I seem to recall that at their wedding reception, you stood up on a table and announced that your son had married the greatest girl in the whole world.
I was drunk.
Well, I better tell you now that you had no chance in the world of getting the church to grant an annulment.
Well, that's not going to keep me from trying. You're not the only priest in the world, you know.
Well, there may be a lot of us, but on matters like these, you'll find that we think pretty much alike. Look, Mr. Brady, Elaine is one of the nicest young women you or I know, and it's so obvious she makes Dennis a good wife.
How can she make him a good wife when she can't make him a father?
But she can make him a father. They can adopt him.
Oh, no, nothing doing. You never know what you're getting. Child could grow up to be sick or stupid.
Whereas all natural children grow up to be healthy and brilliant, huh?
Well, no.
Mr. Brady, I will guarantee you that Elaine and Dennis will receive a normal child. Now, what else?
Blood is thicker than water.
Which means?
Well, take the animals, for example. Now, even in a big herd, a cow can always tell its own calf. It can look like every other calf, but that cow can pick it out like that. You know why?
Why?
Because there's a bond. Even in the jungles. How many times have you seen it in the movies? Wild animals fighting to the death to protect their young. Because there's a bond.
Mr. Brady.
Now, you let me finish, Father. That bond is what life is all about. I know because I have 6 children. 4 of them are married, and 3 of the 4 have reproduced themselves. Now, Denny is the 4th, and I don't want to see him cheated.
Read.
A new commandment I give unto you, that you love one another.
Love one another. Not just one's own, one another.
It's not always that easy.
I know. It's what separates the men from the boys. And it's also what separates the human beings from the animals. Now, look, Dennis won't be cheated. God loves all children. And what's good enough for God should be good enough for your son. Mr. Brady, are you really so worried about Dennis, or do you think somehow this whole thing is a reflection on you?
Having difficulty finding the right word?
Yes, I'm writing the Hallorans. What do I say? Dear faithful ex-parishioners, I'm stumped.
About time, too. Police to crack down on jaywalkers.
I want Dennis to go back to his wife, but I have absolutely no idea on how to make him do it.
Listen to this. South Bend, Indiana. The University of Notre Dame last week.
Father, would you do me a favor? Would you please put down the newspaper? Father, please. If it were you, you wouldn't write the Hallorans until you were sure that Dennis and Elaine were happily reunited, right?
Father O'Malley, I would not be a partner to your torturing yourself. Can we be expected to perform miracles? No, we cannot. The most that can be asked is that we do our duty as we see it. If you say you're stumped, you're stumped. Of course, I'm just a stubborn old man. I'd have to be 200% positive I left no stone unturned.
Father, are you gently telling me I'm giving up too easily?
No. I'm only a bystander. I wouldn't dream of gently telling you anything.
Thank you, Father.
What for?
Some of the best advice you've never given me. Don't touch that button.
You didn't tell me he was going to be here.
Would you have come?
No.
That makes 2 of us.
Then why don't you go home to your daddy?
Well, you're talking. I thought you communicate by throwing things at people's heads.
I suppose you wonder why I brought you all here.
Well, isn't it to see Dr. Webb? I mean, I was hoping you
I
heard
was
something-
too.
Well, why should you care? Didn't you officially desert me?
No, I did not. I just went away to think things through for a while.
With your father's help.
A lot of good yours is out in Arizona.
No. Come on, take it easy. Here, come here. They say a house is just a house until children come into it, and then it becomes a home. You see, we have quite a home here.
What are you trying to do, Father? Break my heart?
Elaine, you don't have to look if you don't want to.
I don't want to look either.
You have to. Have you seen newborn babies before?
Naturally, I've got 10 nephews and nieces.
I often wonder how the nurses can tell them apart.
Father, for gosh sakes, they've got name tags on their cribs and little identification bracelets on their arms.
Excuse me. Miller, boy. Miller. Miller.
Visiting hours this early?
Oh, well, I'm not really supposed to be here right now, but some of us guys slide in between visiting hours. They don't get sore so long as you don't overdo it. Yeah, but they're supposed to cry like that, you know. It's good for their lungs. It's perfectly normal. Hiya, Tiger. What's new? Oh, one of these yours? Oh, well, then maybe you could give me a perfectly objective opinion. Isn't that the cutest and most intelligent-looking baby you've ever seen?
He's very nice.
You bet he is. Well, so long, Flash. See you later, huh? Gotta go talk to your mommy.
Read it, Dennis. Davidson. I don't get it.
I told the nurses to show the first father that came along the wrong baby. For one time only.
You mean this guy was bragging about the wrong kid?
Uh-huh. Well, the case for the adoption rests.
Ow! I didn't say a word.
Neither did she.
She kicked me.
She was mad at you. She thinks you're acting like a stinker.
So do you.
Uh-huh.
My father doesn't.
Oh, Denny, what do you want to do? Take a poll? All those in favor that Dennis Brady Jr. is adopting a baby, say aye.
Well, maybe that's not a bad idea. Saves the guy from having to make a lot of decisions by himself.
You don't like to make decisions by yourself, huh?
Some.
Like, I love you, Elaine, let's get married, like that?
Too bad that's not all there is to it. I do love her, Father.
Tell me, Dennis, is it adopting that bothers you, or is it the idea of having a baby, period?
I don't know. Maybe that's it. I can't picture myself handling a kid. I don't feel up to it, Father.
Are you jealous of your wife because she is?
You know, you're right. I guess I'm not as much of a man as my wife is a woman.
$8 isn't enough for the subway.
Why don't you let your husband take you home in a taxi?
That'll cost $2.
So what? trying to impress you.
Well, Mr. Eubank.
Hi, Father.
And Kevin.
Hi, Father. I have to have my tonsils out. We're going home to get my pajamas.
The doctor just told us. It must run in the family.
Are you scared?
Uh-uh. My father just had his tonsils out, and he says it's a breeze.
Hurry! Ah, you're hot tonight.
Where's Father Fitz?
Going to phone the rectory. You know, I think he's afraid those mission priests are going to sell the church. No kidding, the other night he made more checkup calls to the rectory than he knocked down pins.
Oh.
Father Malik, can I talk to you for a minute?
Mr. Brady, how'd you know where to find me?
I called the rectory and one of those, Father, what's his names, he told me.
I thought they weren't supposed to snitch.
He said it was an emergency.
Mr. Brady, Mr. Caldwell.
Brady?
Hello.
Tom? Yes?
I called from a phone booth outside of Denny and Elaine's apartment. I went there to visit. Denny wouldn't let me in.
Why not?
Said I tried to turn him against his wife.
Everything's settled. Didn't they apply for adoption?
Yeah. He says when they get the baby, he won't let me anywhere near him.
It's childish. You'll be the baby's grandfather.
Yeah, I know. Would you try to reason with him, Father?
Sure thing. Tomorrow.
Thanks.
Good night.
Nice to meet you.
Oh, nice to meet you.
Tom. How long did it take you to become mature?
What are you going to say? I'm still working on it.
Hiya, Father.
Can you beat that?
What happened?
One of our parishioners just phoned in a donation for $500.
Oh, what's so bad about that, Father?
Father Madigan got talking to him about some of their out-of-the-way missions down there in South America. And then, if you please, our friend wound up by insisting that Father Madigan put the money towards the purchase for a Jeep for one of his missions.
Well, it's too late to do anything about it now, Father, so why don't you just forget it and...
Oh, I'm too upset. I couldn't concentrate.
Oh, sure you could.
Go
Come
on.
on, Father. Come on.
Here. It's all in the footwork.